Hi.
Hi.
You spoke about the death of liberal Zionism within Israel. What do you think are the main recent developments within American Zionism specifically, and also more broadly amongst the American Jewish community?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's a new book coming out by Norman Finkelstein, whom we mentioned, and I think he's right. He identifies, if I understood correctly, identifies a certain generation of American Jews in the 30s and the 40s who are divorcing themselves from Zionism, and not necessarily in a political, sort of protesting way, but more by not being engaged with it anymore. So I think the process is of weakening the affiliation of American Jews with Israel and Zionism. Again, that doesn't mean that they are joining the Palestinian solidarity movement, or that they are going to be active members in the BDS campaign in the United States. But it means that they feel uncomfortable about that. It was very interesting. The last bid to try and deal with it was a liberal Zionist ploy, which failed, which is the J Street lobby. They created a Diet Zionist AIPAC, the J Street lobby, supporting the two-state solution and supporting the liberal Zionist agenda in Israel. And it's not working. People say we are either that or we are that. We are either Zionists or we are anti-Zionists as Jews in America. We are not in-betweeners, right? And that, I think, is going to happen. That doesn't mean, and that's a very interesting question, which we only understood, I think, better when the Republican candidates, I don't know if you have seen some of the debates of these crazy politicians, should have been locked in a lunatic asylum and not being candidates for presidency, but this is America. When they talked, it was very clear that they would not allow easily AIPAC to disintegrate, even if the Jews in America would not be interested in it anymore. See, AIPAC serves not the Jews in America. It used to serve Israel, that's true. But now it serves a very particular American agenda of fanaticism and narrow-mindedness. And therefore, I think we need some time to unpack this, to see exactly what is Jewish there and what is Christian Zionist there. And we don't know exactly what is the difference between a fanatic Zionist and a fanatic Christian Zionist. The only difference I know is that in the scheme of things as they see it, the fanatic Zionist is going to be the shish kebab in the barbecue of the Christian Zionists when Christ is returning to Palestine. But apart from that, roles of who is the food and who is the eater, I don't see there's many differences in between them, right? Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him, but I think that the reason why Dr. Finkelstein still sticks to the two-state solution is because he sees international law as being the framework that the movement needs to necessarily work within. But
Right.
since you're speaking about updating things for the 21st century and about the end of nationalism, would you mind sharing what your views on international law are and how you see that in the future?
Yeah, I think, I repeat the question. The question was that Norman Finkelstein's position is based on adherence to the international law, and that's why he supports the two-state solution, and I was asked about my opinion on the international law. Now, I don't think that, I never saw the connection between the international law and the two-state solution. I cannot see what is the connection between an agreement between the PLO and a bunch of Israeli politicians and the basic idea of international law. As I understand international law, it was produced after the Second World War in order to prevent situations of oppression, colonialism, genocide, ethnic cleansing, abuse of human rights and civil rights. That's what international law is all about. I put it to you, the two-state solution would perpetuate these crimes, would not prevent them. So actually, if his perspective is international law, he should support the one-state solution. I think what he would say is that For him, the international law is a set of decisions taken by the United Nations. But even that is not totally clear, because the United Nations has a resolution that describes Zionism as racism.
It was retracted.
What?
But it was retracted. It was the only
Yeah, that's right.
resolution.
So, which resolution are we taking in? Those who were retracted,
Yes.
those who were not retracted, and so on. That's why I think that the United Nations is not, for me, the authoritative forum for deciding what international law is all about. You know, this is the unlearning of the 21st century. It's about the production of knowledge. I think we all have our very strong doubts about who is right, who has the right to tell us what is morally right and what is morally wrong, what is legal and what is illegal, what is financially sound and not financially sound, what is the right economic policy, what is the wrong economic policy. I think all these establishments come under strong attack, rightly so, for the main crime that they did, which was corrupting knowledge in the service of the few at the expense of the many. And international law is one of them. International law is one of them. I don't need the discourses of political, academic, and military elites to guide me for a better future in Palestine and Israel. I want the people to be back at the front, deciding what is good for them. And I'm glad to be in a period where this is not just a Palestinian project. That seems to be your project of your generation, and not only there, but also here.
Hello there. What do you think are the prospects of the Israeli Labour Party or any other political party within Israel that could perhaps act as a voice of moral conscience?
You know, moral conscience in Israel is a dirty word. You will win no electoral votes if you will have moral conscience as part of your agenda. I don't think any of these parties who would put, even in the softer way possible, the rights of minorities, human rights or civil rights in general, have any appeal to the Israeli electorate. There are two ways you can appeal nowadays to the Israeli electorate. Promise to be anti-Arab, tough and militaristic on the one hand, and having some magical formula of solving economic hardships. The rest doesn't interest the electorate, unfortunately. But that means, of course, that activists like myself on the ground in Israel and Palestine have a tall task in front of us of education, of learning, of disseminating these views, because the Israelis are human beings like any other human being, and they would be open, I think, to that kind of ideas. But it will not come from the political parties. It will definitely not come from them.